Okay, I want to say a very big welcome again back to our YouTube and back to this video. Thank you for choosing to watch this. I want to talk about something very interesting that many people, young people, are getting to face. And it's always about who can you take recommendations from, who should give you suggestions as to who you can marry, who you cannot marry, and all of that. I want you to do something. A person who does not know you, who does not know what you like, who does not know what you're interested in, who does not know what your values are, who does not know what your dreams, desires are regarding marriage, should not be the one to make recommendations and suggestions. And that is because the person will not be able to give you a suggestion, a recommendation that best suits you. The person will be giving you a recommendation that is most likely who they like. I would like to say it like this. If you ask a 65 years old woman what a man wants in a woman, he will, she'll be giving you suggestions and she'll be giving you ideas about what the men in her days, the men in her age bracket, the men in her lives, what they want in a woman. And we understand that men who are 65 years old and above, or men who are 60 years old and above, want different things from marriage, want different things from their wives than men who are 40 years and below, 35 years old and below. So you get to find people who are counseling you based on their own personal lives, based on their own personal experiences, based on their own choices and desires, without taking into consideration that these are two different generations. These are people who have two different interests. Now, it comes down to when your mom or when your mom or when your dad picks some fashion items for you, or pick some kind of books for you, or picks different a gadget for you. They would always make their choices based on what they think you like, or based on what they think is good enough for them, which should be good enough for you. So in taking suggestions from people, in taking counsel from people, you have to pay attention to does this person really know me? Does this person know what I like? I know when it comes to, for example, money, like when it comes to money, several years ago, people were not so keen about money when it came to marriage. Of course, it was easy for people to have jobs. They were not having jobs, they were having a lucrative family business. But today, that is a whole lot different. People are going to think about money a lot. The cost of having a wedding several years ago may not be the same right now. It's not that it was also not expensive several years ago, but we understand that then it was more or less like a family coming together to get married. But these days, it's a whole different ball game. When you also come to sex, several years ago, people thought that sex was only for procreation, sex was only for having children. In fact, talking about sex was only a taboo. Discussing it in church, discussing it in public was seen as something that was not proper. But now we've come to discover that sex is something that is very important, and it still happens to be one of the first three biggest causes of divorce all over the world. So if somebody is giving you an advice, somebody is giving you a counsel, you must first of all ask, where is this person counseling from what point of view? That does not mean that we do not need our elders. We definitely need our elders. They have the wisdom, they have the experience. They can give you counsel, and they can give you wisdom based on when it comes to character, when it comes to attitude, when it comes to values. They can do that. But when it comes to interest, and most especially when it comes to specs, it may not be. My mom would not have been happy with me having this hair and having these beards on my face. Of course, this is me. And now it is different. It's like maybe she wouldn't be happy with the kind of job I'm doing right now. She would have preferred another kind of job. People are used to, it's like when ladies want to introduce their fiancé to their parents, and they are very difficult to explain to him that he's a social media influencer, or for example, he's a graphics designer. Your parents may not be able to understand. They are more, their own understanding has to do with things like he's a banker, right? He's a lecturer, he is a lawyer, he works so and so law firm. They don't get to understand the new jobs that are existing today. So they may see a guy who is doing that kind of job and not recommend. They may see a lady who is doing some particular type of things and may not recommend. It's just spreads across. Does it have to do with what it comes to children? they may have a different understanding about children, that, oh, you have to have a son, and this, like, say, I just want to have 2 daughters, or they are like, you should have at least 5 children, or it is God that gives. Why should you be dictating how many children you want to have, and why should you be dictating when you want to have the children? Whereas this is a generation where people are asking themselves, do we even want to have kids? Even if we want to have kids, do we want to have them by ourselves, or through surrogacy, or through adoption and other means? So when listening to these older people giving you counsel, you must pay attention to know when they are giving you counsel from themselves, or they are giving you a general counsel based on wisdom, based on understanding, and you must be able to figure that out. I noticed that many radio stations, many television stations are usually wanting counselors who are young. And when I mean who are young, people who are not more than 50, people who are 50 years and below, who are into counseling, because there is a big generational gap. There's a big thing between what we want then and what we want today, how things used to be then and how things are today. So if you want to seek counsel from any person regarding your marriage, ensure it is somebody who understands you very well, somebody who gets to know you, who understands your life, your specs. That's the person that's giving you that recommendation. We've had pastors giving recommendation to their members as to who they should marry and the rest, and at the end of the day you discover that the recommendation the person is actually giving is who I feel is best as a wife, in the sense that who I feel is the best. If I were to marry again, if I were to remarry, who is the kind of person I will marry? Maybe that's the kind of person I would suggest to my friends to marry. They forget that personalities are different. I'm sanguine, for example, so I may not be able to blend with another sanguine the way I would blend with a male. There will be easy the opposite attract things, and similarities things coming into play. So because I may ordinarily not want to marry somebody who is a sanguine, if my friend is marrying a sanguine, for example, I may not feel that the girl is good enough for marriage. Maybe I'm using my own personal temperament. I'm just giving you an example now. This is not what I do. Of course, I'm a professional, so I have better understanding. So many people will definitely condemn your choice if your choice is not somebody that they can marry. They always get to forget that this is not about them, this is about you. So I have a definition of who a wife is. There's the generic definition, there's the general definition. But personally, as an individual, I have a definition of who a wife is. I have what the roles that I want a wife to play in my life. It may not be the roles that my mother played in my father's life. I want the roles that I want my wife to play in the life of our children. They may not be the roles that your mother played in your life. So if somebody is using his own life to give me a recommendation, that would be very wrong. And you get to find somebody who has never asked you what type of marriage you want, what type of person do you like, how would you like to live your life, what kind of family would you want to raise, and the rest. They have never asked you those questions. They have never asked you what your personal values are. But at the end of the day, they are beginning to recommend, I think you can marry this person. How do you think I can marry this person when you do not even know me? So always take that into consideration. It's something very important. But do not forget that, as I mentioned earlier on, that the fact that they are older does not necessarily mean that they are completely old school. Of course, when it comes to character, when it comes to behavior, when it comes to attitude, when it comes to life, it has to do with values. The older the person, the better for you. The older the person, the better for you. So you may want to have your younger people give you suggestions based on specs of today, and at the end of the day, you may want to find an older people to vet how is this person's character like, how is this person's attitude like, is it something that can last long over the years. Thank you for listening. Thank you for following. Thank you for watching. You're amazing. You rock.